Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another live stream on the Dibbly-Dobbly podcast. It's great to be back after a year off the live streams on the podcast, but it's good to be back. But what an occasion to do our first live stream in more than a year. It's the World Test Championship final between Australia and South Africa as we enter the last session on day one. And it's been a bit of an up and down sort of day. A seesawing affair, it has to be said. South Africa have bowled well. Australia have fought back. And obviously in this last session now, South Africa have struck with the wicket of Alex Carey, bowled around his legs by Kesha Maharaj for 23. And Australia 6 down for 194. But the important thing is that Bo Webster is still out there on 57. And he's joined by Pat Cummins, who we all know with Pat Cummins is reliable with the bat and certainly looking to get Australia out of another tricky situation. But it looked a pretty dire situation early on for Australia at 4 for 67. But at 6 for 194, at least they're getting back into the contest. But not ideal to lose Alex Carey just before just after tea, really. Would have been disappointed to get out there, Kerry. A nice partnership developing with Bo Webster there. Looking quite free with the scoring and looking comfortable, but unfortunately a wicket fell. So the situation, 6 for 194. And South Africa, you have to say that they were a little bit poor in that second session. Yes, they got the wicket of Steve Smith, but they sort of let it slip a little bit. Bowlers starting to get tired. The pitch, quite a slow surface, not as fast as everyone is hoping for. As Rabada is back to Webster, and he glides this through the slip cordon down to the third man boundary for 4, and he moves into the 60s, Bo Webster. And he certainly batted well today, Bo Webster. Looked a little bit scratchy against Rabada early on in his innings. But as he's got in and got set, he's looking more comfortable and looking more freer at the crease. And that's the important thing. As Australia moved to 6 for 198. Webster 61. And Pat Cummins, the captain, at the other end on 1. Came in at the fall of the Alex Carey wicket. And he was bowled around his legs by Maharaj for 23. Rabada in. And Webster works it to the offside for a quick single. He moves on to 62. And Australia 6 for 199 as the 200 beckons. And I think Australia would be looking to try and get to that 250 mark. That will be their first goal, is to get over 200. And then if they can get to 250, then that's a good result, given the situation they were in. And if they can get over 300, that's a bonus as well. But South Africa fought well. They've certainly started well in this last session. They needed to do that. Rabada is in, and Cummins defends to the leg side, and there's no run. And Australia will be looking to get over 200 and see where they're at the end of the day. South Africa won the toss. They utilized the conditions. In the first session with the overcast conditions, cloud cover, got 4 wickets, got rid of Khawaja, Labuschagne, Green and Head. In the second session, they weren't quite at their best. They only got the wicket of Smith, but Rabada is in and he's bowled him. He's knocked over Pat Cummins. And Australia 7 for 299 as Pat Cummins departs for 1. And South Africa have struck after tea. This is what they needed to do. Rabada picks up another wicket. And South Africa have fought back after the tea break, getting the wickets of Carey and now Pat Cummins. Australia 7 for 199. This game has turned again, as it so often does in test matches. Australia 7 for 199. And 2 wickets after tea for South Africa. But for Australia, the important thing is that Bo Webster is still out there on 62. They'll be hoping that he can have some support from Mitchell Starc, who's going to come in next. Out he comes. And he'll be hoping that Starkey can stick around with him, get Australia up to 250. And that will be their first sort of target, really. Anything 250 in that region is a good score for Australia, given the situation they were in when they were 4 down for 67 early on in the day. But South Africa have fought hard. They've bowled well. Second session, as I mentioned, they went a little bit wayward, but they've fought back after tea with the wickets of Carey and now Cummins in the first couple of overs after tea. Pat Cummins getting his off stump removed by Kahisa Rabada, who enjoyed that. And South Africa fighting back in this test match, but there's still a long way to go. There's still a lot of cricket to be played. It's not going to be decided on day one. We do know that Australia possess a good bowling attack themselves, and the South African batting lineup is quite inexperienced when it comes to playing Australia in test cricket, especially some of their batters. So there's still plenty of cricket to go. Mitchell Starc ready himself as he faces Rabada, who's in, and Starc defends comfortably to mid-off. And he gets his innings underway with a dot ball. So 7 for 199, Australia. So not a good start after the tea break for Australia. They would have hoped that the Webster and Carey partnership continued because it looked pretty good in that second session there. Unfortunately, Carey got bowled around his legs by Maharaj for 23, as he so often does, Carey, when he plays the spin, he plays the sweep shots. And then obviously Pat Cummins got his off stump removed by Kahisa Rabada. So 7 for 199 at the end of the 53rd over. And South Africa will be delighted with the start after tea, because it had to be said that in the second session, even though they got the wicket of Steve Smith, they looked a little bit lackluster in that second session. The bowlers starting to tire. Smith and Webster and Carey were batting comfortably. But Maharaj begins a new over. He goes to Webster, who smashes this to long off for a single, and that will bring up the 200 for Australia. 7 for 200. He moves on to 63, Webster. So if we can have a bit of support here from Mitchell Starc, which we all know Mitchell Starc can bat. He's got a test 100 or test 99 after all. He can stick around, Mitchell Starc, and offer some good support. And Australia would like that from Mitchell Starc here as they look to get up towards that 250 mark if they can. Maharaj in, and Starc works it off his pads for a square leg. He'll pick up a single. He's off the mark. And Australia move on to 7 for 201. Though Webster the key. No doubt he is the key for Australia now. Maharaj in again. Webster defends to the offside. No run. Steve Smith, 66 he made. He got going today, but 100 was left out there. Webster defends comfortably to the offside again. There's no run. And thanks for joining us, everyone. And let us know your thoughts on the final thus far in the comments. We'd love to hear what you have to say in terms of your thoughts on this test match thus far, as Webster works it to the offside and he will pick up a single. And he moves on to 64. So Australia ticking along. It hasn't been an ideal day for Australia. After winning the toss, South Africa would be delighted with how the day's panned out. I think Australia would have liked to do what they wanted to do, and that was to get some runs on the board. But more importantly, I'll be hoping to get a partnership here. As we know with Australia, the tail enders can bat all the way down. Stark and Lyon, Hazelwood at number 11 can bat. So if Australia can get to 250, sort of 250 up towards 300, I think that's a good result for Australia. We know that they've got the ball in attack, and South Africa will be up against it when they bat. So it's probably not going to be an easy test match for batting. I think on both sides, the bowling attacks on both sides are pretty good. And we've seen that today from South Africa. Rabada in. This one short, pulled through square leg for 4 from Webster. He's been very good on the pull shot today. And Rabada tested him out with the short ball, but Bo Webster was up to the task. And he moves to 68. Bo Webster, can he get a century at Lords? That will be a way to get your first test century, be on the honours board. A century at Lords, and an important one for Australia, with the situation being what it is at 7 for 206. Rabada steams in again to Webster. Works it off his pads through square leg. And there's no run. Seven for 206. Rabada in. And this one worked fine. Down to fine leg for 4 from Webster off his pads. It's another boundary in the over. And he moves to 72. And this has been a terrific knock from Bo Webster. He's only... Well, really, him and Steve Smith have been the only two that have looked comfortable today. It has to be said. And... Australia move on to 7 for 210. Rabada has got him. He's gone. Bo Webster is gone now, and Rabada picks up his 4th. And Australia are 8 for 210. Bo Webster played so well, and he has to go for 72, I'm afraid. And it's been a good start after tea for South Africa. They picked up 3 wickets. Webster just flashing at this one and just edging it straight into the hands of Bettingham at first slip. He'll be disappointed with that. He played so well. He has to go, Bo Webster, and Australia are 8 for 210. I think now for Australia, they'll be looking to, well, if they can get up to 250 at least minimum for Australia, I think that will be the goal. Nathan Lyon will come out, and Australia will be disappointed with this batting display, it had to be said. And Bo Webster will be disappointed with that shot. So it looked so good for Australia at the end of that second session. It looked so good with the partnership with Webster and Carey. It looked like it was going to be tough work for South Africa. But all of a sudden, they've picked up 3 wickets in this final session to begin the tea break, well, post-tea break session. The wickets of Carey, who was out-bowled by Maharaj with the sweep shot around his legs. Cummins to Rabada, and now Webster. But... as they say, don't judge a pitch until both sides have batted on it, and South Africa have to face Australia's bowlers, and that will be a big test for them as well. So this test match is not done yet by any means, as we know that it's only day 1. There's still a lot of cricket to be played, but Kahisa Rabada has been good today. He's been outstanding for South Africa, as we expect from Kahisa Rabada. 4 wickets for him for 50. And he's in, and this one a plain a miss by Nathan Lyon. Oohs and ahs behind the stumps from the keeper and the slips, as South Africa looked to go in for the kill. But Nathan Lyon can stick around. We know he can play some handy innings here and there. He's got a higher score of 40-odd. So him and Mitchell Stark have been in this situation plenty of times for Australia before. But you have to say it's been a bit of an up and down sort of batting display, really, from Australia. It has to be said. Rabada finishes the over with a dot ball as Lyon leaves. It's the end of the over, 8 for 210. For Australia. So there's still plenty of time in this last session. The over rate's been, well, pretty sedate, really, because we've had a lot of seam bowling today. And Australia would be disappointed, really. As I said before, the Webster and Carey partnership in that second session was looking good and hoping to kick on after tea, but that hasn't eventuated. Obviously, Carey losing his wicket, then Cummins, and then obviously Webster just before for 72. 8 for 210 for Australia. As Marco Jansen will begin a new over. Okay, he's Rabada getting a standing ovation from the crowd. Down there on the boundary as he fields. Jansen to Stark, who leaves outside off stump, and there's no run. Well, I don't think Mitchell Stark would have envisioned batting today. He would have hoped the top order would have done the job. But I suppose for Australia, what we do know is that they're fighters, and they're not going to give up, and they're going to be extra motivated to take some early wickets when they get out there to bowl very shortly. Jansen in, this one played through the covers from Stark as he drives, but can't penetrate the infield, and there's no run. 8 for 210. South Africa. Stark works it behind square on the leg side. He'll pick up a leg by, I think. Maybe got a little bit bad on that. Leg by, either way, it's a single and it's a leg by. So Australia will take the runs. But Australia, I think they'll be looking for that 250 mark. If they can scavenge their way up to either 230 or 240 or 250 at least, that will give them something to bowl to. I think if you get to that sort of number, I think they'll be thinking about getting up to that score if they can. We know Nathan Lyon and Mitchell Stark can stick around. They're more than capable of doing that. As I've mentioned before, they've played some innings of substance as Jansen is into Lyon, who watches it go through to the keeper. No run. Well, Nathan Lyon, mixed memories for him here at Lords. It was 2 years ago in the Ashes that he pulled his calf. He comes back 2 years later with Australia 8 down for 211 in the World Test Championship final. So I think the Australian team will be disappointed with the batting performance today. It's been really a tale of two halves, really. He's bowled him, he's knocked him over, and Nathan Lyon has been cleaned up by Marco Jansen through the gate. And he's gone for a duck. And South Africa, it's definitely been their day, but there's still plenty of work to do. They've got to go out and then bat, and the Australian bowlers would be extra motivated and probably a little bit ticked off with the top order not quite doing their job. It's not their job to come in and try and salvage something here. Australia 2 for 211. Nathan Lyon's got to depart, but really it's not his job. It's more the top order, really. So what can we put it down to with Australia's batting today? Is it a bit of, well, haven't played a test match since February. Obviously, the batting order's changed around a bit. Labuschagne opening in this test match. Cameron Green coming back from injury. hasn't played Test cricket within a year. A bit of rustiness, a bit of nerves, a bit of apprehension. South Africa switched on, and you can certainly say that as Josh Hazlewood arrives to the crease. So plenty of factors at play here today. But really, after you would thought with that partnership between Carey and Webster going so well after in that second session, you would think that Australia would be in a good position after tea, but unfortunately they've lost 4 wickets in quick succession. Carey, Cummins, Webster, and now Lyon. So it hasn't quite gone to plan for Australia today with the bat, but it has for South Africa with the ball. But if Australia can get up to, 230, something like that. Janssen in, and this one beat Hazlewood past his outside edge. And again, hands on heads for South Africa, looking to finish it off. But South Africa certainly in a good position in this test match. It's the end of the over. It's 9 for 211. So Australia in a bit of a hole here. They were 4 down for 67, so it could have been a lot worse, but they're 9 for 211 now. As Kaisa Rabada comes back. He wants to take a fifer. He has got a fifer here at Lord's. He'll be hoping for another one. Mitchell Starc on strike to Rabada. And Starc lets this go past the off stump. And there's no run. And yes, Australia will be disappointed, but they will be hoping to bowl well when they have an opportunity. And no doubt, I think Mitchell Starc will be fired up as the rest of the other Australian bowlers will. If they can take a few early wickets, then it will be interesting. Rabada is in, and Starc drives backward a point, turns down the single. He says no run. Doesn't want to expose Josh Hazlewood to Kaisa Rabada. I think that's a good ploy. And joining me for a bit on this live stream, at least, is a regular listener of the podcast and good friend of the podcast. And he's not looking too happy at the moment. I'm sure he'll be expressing that when he comes in. And I'm speaking of Jihan, of course. Hello, Jihan. Hope you're well. Not looking too good at the moment, but it's only day one. There's still a lot of cricket to be played.
Yeah, it's not looking too good at the moment, is it?
And how you've assessed Australia's batting today. It's been a bit up and down, really. Smith and Webster look pretty much the best of the lot.
Yeah, I think it's one of those days where it was definitely a good toss for South Africa to win. Batting was looked pretty difficult, particularly in that first session. But whenever Australia seemed to sort of start getting on top of the bowling, they've just lost wickets at the worst kind of times, and sometimes against the run of play as well, which is unfortunate. If you think about it, Head, Smith, and Carey were all bonus wickets for South Africa. But they've managed to get those wickets when things were starting to get away from them a little bit, and now they're running through the tail. So at the moment, they're completely on top.
Well, unfortunately, Mitchell Starc has just departed, and that's a 5-wicket haul for Kaisa Rabada. And Australia are all out for 212.
Oh,
and,
might be a no ball.
It was a no ball on the previous delivery.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's not a no ball there. Put behind the line on that occasion, Rabada. So Australia all out for 212. And South Africa, yes, it did collect the leg bail And Rabada's got 5. Not a surprise. It's another 5 at Lords for Kagiso Rabada. And he's been the best of the bowlers today, Jihan. It has to be said, really. Him and Janssen led the way in that first session. And now in this tea session, post-tea, they've certainly really ruck amok with the tail enders, haven't they?
Yeah, and that's what you have to do against Australia. You can't let the tail get runs. You have to, if you once you get into the tail, you need to be able to run through them. And they've scored over the years. They've scored crucial runs at various times against England, against India. But yeah, today, when it comes to running through the tail, South Africa have been ruthless, and in fact, they've done that as the conditions have started to, as the wickets started to flatten out. So they've done well there.
So what does Australia have to do here, Jihan? Obviously, it's the old cliche in Test cricket: get early wickets as soon as you can with the new ball. But we know with South Africa, Australia are all out for 212. If you just joined us, so South Africa will have to face the music, and important for Australia to pick up some wickets here. But what do you think Australia have to do here, Jihan? Obviously, they're not out of the. It's not ideal being bowled out for 212, obviously by any means, but they've got the ball and attack, and we know South Africa have some inexperience in that batting order. I don't think this could be as straightforward as everyone thinks, Jihan. I think there could be a turn and a twist, as we know, which happens in Test cricket. But your thoughts on how Australia would go in this session of play. There's still a lot of overs to be completed today. Obviously, the over rate's been quite slow because of the amount of seam that we've had today from South Africa. But your thoughts on how the bowlers will go? Obviously, we know what they're going to do, of course. Their quality. But for Australia to get back into this match, wickets will be the key. And as we know, anything can happen. Australia were 4 down for 67 early in the day. Conditions have changed, yes, but South Africa could be 4 down themselves. It changes so quickly in Test cricket. So your thoughts on that, Jihan, in terms of how Australia would approach their bowling effort in this little period before stumps on day one, because definitely the bowlers would be fired up, no doubt.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be difficult. They might be a little bit up against it. They don't have the conditions in their favour anymore, so it's not going to be like the conditions that South Africa had when they were bowling in that first session. But having said that, the new ball is obviously going to be key. They can't afford to bowl wide and leak runs. They just need to try and be as accurate as they can and hit a good line, consistent line and length. It doesn't matter if the ball's not seaming, miles like it did in the first session. They just need to try and be consistent with that length. And the other thing is, it's quite a slow pitch as well. So when the ball was dug in, it did seem to be holding up a bit. So if it really comes to it and the wicket starts flattening out, I think they may have to go to the bouncer ploy like they did against England a couple of years ago, because with the ball not coming through consistently, that may prove difficult to play.
Yes,
that would be my thoughts.
Yes, no, that's spot on. I don't know, a bit of a contrast with Australia's batting today. Maybe a bit of rustiness. Haven't played for a while. Obviously, the batting order has changed. Labuschagne as opener. Cameron Green coming back at 3. He got a boundary away and then played across the line and got an outside edge and got caught by Markram at slip. But I suppose that happens. I suppose it's just Test cricket. These things happen. You have to give credit to South Africa. They bowled really well, used the conditions well. But there was an opportunity for Australia, especially in that second session with Webster and Carey. That partnership just before tea was looking pretty ominous for South Africa. And then obviously after tea, it's fallen away pretty quickly.
Well,
But
my frustration is just as the conditions were starting to ease up, Australia lost key wickets by throwing their wickets away. I mean, Steve Smith getting out to Markram, Alex Carey pretty much missing a full toss, trying to reverse sweep off Maharaj, who's probably the least threatening bowler all day today. Travis Head getting caught down the leg side. Okay, that's a bit unlucky, but it's also another bonus wicket for South Africa. Yeah, so quite frustrating actually. Just as things were starting to ease up, Australia looked like they were going to be able to put partnerships on and get on top of the bowling. They just lost wickets at the wrong times, and then South Africa's done well to one through the tail. So. Yeah, I mean, batting this morning was pretty difficult. I think more than anything, I think it was there was excessive seam movement, which happens on a day one pitch when there's underlying moisture in the pitch. I didn't think the swing was excessive. Rabada got a few to swing from quite wide of off stump, but I think it was more the seam movement that they struggled with in the morning. But it did look pretty difficult.
yes, indeed, especially in that morning session, there's always going to be a little bit of movement there in the pitch and the new ball. It's not ideal for Australia. They would have liked to turn up to Lords today, hoping to bat the whole day, and that looked pretty good at one stage with Smith and Webster rescuing the innings there. But as we know, with
at one point.
Yes, but as we know in Test cricket, Jihan, things can change. And South Africa, yes, they've bowled well, but they've still got a lot of work to do. They know that. And with the inexperience they have in their batting lineup, Australia can definitely exploit that and open the gate and open the door and hopefully put South Africa under pressure. We saw that the last time Australia and South Africa played in the Test series here in Australia. We saw that in that series, the vulnerabilities. So you would think Bavuma, Markram will be the key for South Africa, and the rest, Bettingham, Rickleton, Stubbs, Varane, he's played against Australia before, but those names I mentioned before haven't played against Australia in Test cricket. They haven't faced this quartet. And many people have made those observations and comments, which is fair enough. So it's not going to be easy for South Africa, I don't think, Jihan. I think it's going to be a testing period for them when they come out to bat in this second innings. Obviously, scoreboard pressure, they don't have to worry about that. 212 is not going to put you under pressure. But when you lose a few early wickets, it does take a long way away. And 212 looks like it's going to be a pretty good score in the end. But to be fair, probably not a 212 all-out pitch. No. But we can't judge a pitch until both sides have batted on it, as the old saying goes. But
I think I was thinking they would need 250 an absolute minimum, but if anything, probably about 350. Particularly if the sun comes out and the pitch flattens out.
Yes, that would be what they will be hoping, South Africa. But
I was listening to Andrew McDonald talking about the conditions. It was probably a week or two ago, and he mentioned the Lord's Test match against England and how the ball was seaming around quite excessively when Australia batted first in that first couple of sessions, and Khawaja and David Warner managed to get through that and set up the innings for Steve Smith. And I remember both Khawaja and Warner got out to balls that seamed in excessively, and when England came into that in the following innings, the sun came out and they were rollicking along at 5-6 and over. So before Australia turned to the bouncer ploy and they all started getting out hooking. So that's sort of my fear for this innings coming up. I'm hoping that they use the new ball well and don't bowl too much rubbish, as in give South Africa too many freebies.
Yeah, that's entirely true, Jihan. But we know with this Australian attack, obviously, Imagine if Scott Boland played instead of Josh Hazlewood today, he would have been a handful. But we did see the ball nip around all day, so it wasn't like you felt like you were in. Even Smith and Webster, even though they were batting comfortably, they didn't feel like they were in.
The ball was still seaming, wasn't it?
So that's still going to be a challenge for South Africa as Aidan Markram is on strike as he scratches his guard. He'll be on strike. And he'll be hoping to get South Africa off to a good start, but Australia will be hoping to see the back of him very shortly. His opening partner, Rickleton, he's young into his test career. He's only played not many test matches. This is his only 18th innings batting-wise. It's going to be Mitchell Starc who's going to open the attack as always. And he's from the nursery end, left arm over the wicket to the right-hander in Aidan Markram. Starc is in, on the money, and left alone by Markram outside off stump, and there's no run. Good start by both Markram and Mitchell Starc there.
I think the other thing they need to try and do is utilise the slope as well, particularly Hazlewood and Starc.
Definitely, yes. That does definitely play a part. Of course, the uniqueness about Lords is the slope. And the ball going up the slope and down the slope can definitely help the bowlers. Travis Head looks pretty relaxed. He's got a smile on his face. Starc is in. This one again left alone by Markram outside his off stump and no run. Watchful. But we know Jihan with Australia, they're fighters and they wouldn't be happy with this performance. So extra motivation, get a few wickets tonight. I think for Australia, if they can get 3-4 wickets tonight, maybe 5, then I think they'll be happy going into day 2. Still a lot of overs to go. It's not even halfway through this last session of the day. As Starc is in again for his third delivery to Markram. And again, this one outside off stump, left alone by Markram. There's no run. Mitchell Starc trying to find his radar. Now, I do apologise for people trying to send in comments, and I can't bring them up on the screen for some reason. We have some technical difficulties. Not sure what's happening there. But I'll read the comments out if people have any comments and thoughts. Only Sports says South Africa batters make sure that they don't come to bat again. Well, that's usually the objective in this situation. But, that's a long way away. Starc is in. He's trapped in front. Markram went for the big booming drive and maybe got an inside edge onto his pads. There were oohs and ahs, and Australia hoping that trapped him in front, because if he didn't hit that looked pretty good. Mitchell Starc knows it too. He's getting that ball to swing from that angle. Left arm over back into Markram. It's been a good start from Starc. 4 dot balls.
I think if South Africa at the start of the day were told that you're going to bowl Australia out for 212 and come out to bat in the sunshine in the third session, I think they would have taken that.
Absolutely. Markram defends. And there's no run. So good start on both sides from Markram to Starc here. But we keep saying to Jihan, test matches are not won on the first day. It's a slow grind.
Yeah, that just came out straight out the middle of Markram's bat.
Yes. But we know that Australia, in these situations, they do have a tendency to fight back. That's their characteristic. We've seen this from this team. Starc is in. And this one, bowled him! He's knocked him over! One that swung back through the gate, and Mitchell Starc's ecstatic. And that's the start Australia needed, Jihan. What a start.
I'm a bit behind you on the stream.
As well. It's a wicket made, and Markram's gone for a duck. And boy, we've got a test match on our hands.
Oh, that was a beauty. Yeah.
That's classic Mitchell Starc, isn't it, Jihan?
Yeah, just short of the length. little bit of swing, and that's decked back in a fair bit.
Oh, that's wonderful to see Mitchell Starc in full flight. He's been bowling so well over the last couple of years or so, hasn't he, Jihan?
Mm. Yeah, it brings to a bit of an inside edge there as well. Inside edge starting to the stumps.
Yes, indeed. Well, that's what Australia needed, and South Africa will be feeling a little bit on edge, will they, Jihan? Because if you lose early wickets, even though you've done so well in the day to bowl Australia out for 212, I just felt like that their batting was always going to be tested, and we did talk about that in our preview, did we, Jihan? About their batting and their vulnerabilities.
And Markram's one of the best batsmen, so that's a really good wicket to get.
New batter is Wyan Mulder. Comes out at number 3. He will join Rickleton, who's yet to face a ball, and he'll be on strike because the actions happen at the other end. And
that ball reminded me of two balls, actually, two of the best balls that Mitchell Starc has bowled. He bowled Ollie Pope in the second innings at Lord's.
Oh yes, indeed. Yes.
And then also he bowled Shubman Gill the similar ball in the Adelaide Test match.
Yes, he did.
And those two are they were a bit fuller. This one was a little bit short of length, but
it's a classic Mitchell Starc delivery, the one that comes back into the right hander.
And it's late swing as well. Difficult to play as a right hander.
Josh Hazlewood's into the attack to Rickleton. And Rickleton plays an out to point, and there's no run. In South Africa, bit shaky early on, Jihan, and Mitchell Starc, having a look at the replay here, he's ecstatic. He should be. That's a cracking delivery. And the slip cordon, all of them pretty happy as well. It's always good to see the stumps get knocked over as a fast bowler. And Mitchell Starc, he's closing in on 100 Test matches too. He'll tick over that milestone when Australia go to the Caribbean at the end of the month to start that Test tour in July. I
have to say, watching Steve Smith bat today was probably the most fluent I've seen him for a long time.
Yes, no, he looked. I said early on, Jihan, when I started the stream, 100 was left beckoning there.
Oh, I thought he was guaranteed to get 100 once he got to 50.
And to get out to Markram too, because it was a change of ends for Mulder. That's why he was brought into the attack, and just sort of flashed at it as he tends to do against the spinners. Smith looking to get on with it, but
I think if anything, he was overconfident today. He went. There was one loose shot he played where he went for a drive and his feet went nowhere. And I just thought that's just overconfidence there. But yeah, other than that, he looked pretty much back to his best.
Yes. Quick single from Rickleton. He gets off the mark, and there was a throw at the stumps, but he was well safe. In South Africa.
The other thing I have to say, the commentary has been appalling. It's 99%.
Yes, well, you've got Kevin Peterson there, and
it's all been anti-Australia. It's all been anti-Australia. All of them.
I thought you may say that, Jihan. There's some Australians on the commentary team.
I mean, they're the only ones that haven't been anti-Australia. Even from Ian Smith to Nasser Hussain to the South Africans. You could see they were getting so excited in the morning when wickets were falling, and then in the afternoon session when runs started flowing, they started getting frustrated. And I was thinking, well, aren't Australia allowed to settle in once the conditions have calmed down a bit? I found that very, I don't know, frustrating, annoying.
Yes. South Africa 1 for 2. Still plenty of time in this last session as Hazelwood is in to Rickleton. Who defends to mid-off, and there's no run. Good energy by Australia in the field there. Minus Labuschagne there at mid-off, because he tends to field most of the time. Good energy from him. New role for him in this test match is the opener, only for this test match only. Let's just make that point clear. It was only to accommodate Cameron Green in the side, and I think the selectors would be hoping that he will do better in the second innings, but he did show some signs of trying to get back into some touch. Hazelwood in, this one inside edge from Rickleton as he defends, and Carey in pursuit, and they come through for a single. There was a throw at the stumps, and that Mulder was well safe. Good pick up and throw from Carey. Obviously, the thumping from 2 years ago here at Lord's gets mentioned, as it has been in the lead-up to this final Jihan. And quite a significant moment, that's for sure. But I don't think we're going to see any controversial moments in this test match, that's for sure. Hazelwood in to finish his over to Mulder, who gets wrapped on the pads, but it was well high. And there's no run. It's the end of the over, 1 for 3. Good start by Australia. That's what they needed to do, take early wickets. And they've already done that already with South Africa 1 down 4-3.
What Australia could do with here is a Glenn McGrath type performance at Lord's.
Yes, well, they'll probably get that from Josh Hazelwood. I mean, they're similar to Glenn McGrath, obviously. Jihan?
Yeah, maybe Hazelwood could do that.
Well, maybe, Hazelwood can pick up 8 wickets like McGrath did all those years ago. But it was Kahisa Rabada today who was outstanding. And he was always going to be the danger man for Australia, and his record against Australia is pretty good in Test cricket, and it's been improved today. So South Africa, they trailed by 209 runs, but they've lost their first wicket. That was Aidan Markram. Mitchell Starc is about to bowl to Rickleton for the first time in this innings. From the nursery end, Australia on the attack. Starc is in. This one defended off the pads by Rickleton to mid-on. And there's no run. But Jihan, do you think this test match is going to go the distance? Obviously, we have 6 days just in case for weather if rain doesn't come. But do you think we're probably in for a 5-day affair?
Maybe not 5-day, but definitely 4 days, I would have thought. May go into the 5th day. I just think the wicket's going to get a lot easier to bat on as the days go on.
Starc to Rickleton. This is full, driven down the ground by Rickleton, and it will race away to the boundary for 4. So the first boundary for South Africa in their innings. And Rickleton moves on to 6. Mitchell Starc looking to get that swing, pitching the ball up full. Well, he wouldn't be too unhappy about that. He'd be hoping that Rickleton will play a few drives and hopefully get an outside edge if he can.
That was a good shot. Ball didn't really do much. Shot indeed.
He's got a 250, Rickleton. It was against Bangladesh. So he can play a long innings, but that was against Bangladesh, mind you. This is Australia, different beast. Starc is in, and Rickleton defends to mid-off. There's no run. Just having a look at the Australian wickets that fell after tea, that is. And, well, it's the pitch. To be fair, not a single blade of green grass on it. It's evenly coloured with straw-like colour. Quite dry underneath. A lot of moisture. But It has been difficult all day. Stark is in to Rickleton, who defends this to Cameron Green in the gully. Off the outside edge, and there's no run. Just a recap with the bowling. Rabada 5 for 51, 3 for 49. Wicket for Maharaj and Markram. No wickets for Ngidi. He was disappointing today. And Mulder, none for 36, but he did his role. But Ngidi was the disappointing one. Didn't quite get it right today. Stark. In again to Rickleton, who flashes at this one. And a play and a miss. Oohs and ahs from the Australian slip cordon. So close to the outside edge, but Rickleton survives for another delivery at least. Nice crowd in for this game, Jihan. Obviously, with no India and England playing, of course, but the crowd seems to be reasonable.
Yeah, and it looks like there's an even scattering of both sets of fans as well, so that's good.
Yes, definitely. Stark is in. And this one left alone by Rickleton outside his off stump. It's the end of the over, 1 for 7. And South Africa trail by 205. So South Africa 1 for 7. And Australia up and about with the early wickets. They'll be hoping to get a few more, maybe 3 more wickets. Get South Africa 4 down.
There is a bit of shape there for Mitchell Stark. It's just going away a little bit.
There is a bit of shape there, and Josh Hazlewood will be hoping to exploit that as well. Hazlewood from the pavilion end to Mulder. And this one left alone outside off stump by Mulder. No run. Good to see Josh Hazlewood back, Jihan. He's had his injury concerns, but he bowled well recently in the IPL for RCB. Them going on to win the tournament for the first time in ever. Bowled well there, and he's got the nod over Scott Boland, which is often the case. But given Josh Hazlewood's record, that was always bound to happen. Unlucky on Scott Boland, but we knew that was the case going into this game. Hazlewood is in again, and this one defended on the front foot by Mulder to the offside. No
yeah, I think with Hazlewood, he's just consistently done it for a much longer time than Scott Boland. So yeah, I think it's just a no-brainer that if he's fully fit, then he's one that gets selected.
Yes, that's what everyone said, and that's turned out to be the case. You always rely on Josh Hazlewood. 1 for 3, good start to his spell. He's in, and this one tucks Mulder on the pads, and there's no run. Probing. Josh Hazlewood.
What's your opinion on the selection of the batting lineup for this game?
Well, I think to be expected. I think for a one-off game, they want that experience with, Marnus over Sam Constance. Obviously, Cameron Green at number 3 because he's, doing so well in county cricket. Hazlewood is in, and this one played by Mulder on the inside edge, I think, as it rolls out to cover and there's no run. I think it's just because of experience, seniority, and that Sam's got a long time ahead of him, a missed opportunity if you look at from his point of view, but an opportunity for Marnus to hopefully get back into some form, I think. But to be expected, and then Green at 3, and obviously Bo Webster playing because Green's not going to be bowling as much. Hazlewood in, this one past the outside edge of Mulder's bat, so he's probing here, Josh Hazlewood. And don't think Mulder tends to bat at number 3 for South Africa. I think this is a new role for him. He missed that by a mile, but Josh Hazelwood just starting to get his line and radar in here. As he looks to...
Yeah, I don't think he played at that. Just played inside the line.
As he looks to complete this over, Hazelwood, hopefully with a maiden or a wicket maiden. He's in, and this one again past the outside edge. And there is no run. It's the end of the over. It's 1 for 7 after 4. South Africa trail by 205.
I think when we were doing our preview episode, I think we both agreed that they needed to pick Constas and then decide between Webster and Green. And we briefly mentioned the possibility of Marnus going up to open and them playing both all-rounders. But I think we didn't think that there was a need for the extra seamer. But I think what's complicated things is the fact that Cameron Green is not fit, at bowling fitness at the moment, as well as the fact that he's scored quite a few runs in the county championship.
It's definitely gone into the calculations. Stark to continue to Rickleton, and he jams this full delivery. And Stark just probing at those pads. He's got to be wary of that, Rickleton, because Stark he will spirit into the pads and get that on his radar. He's closing in on 400 test wickets as well. Mitchell Stark is...
how many is he on now?
He's on 383 with that wicket he's taken. So he's nearly getting there. So he'll hopefully get there.
I think Collins is closing in on 300 as well.
Yes. Rickleton was tucked up by this one from Stark, but he works it down to fine leg for a single, and Josh Hazelwood does the fielding. South Africa moved to 1 for 8. They trail by 204. Well, he definitely deserves it, Mitchell Stark, obviously. A long career, 100 test matches. He's approaching that milestone in the Caribbean if he plays all 3 tests, which you think he probably would. But he started well here with the wicket in this World Test Championship final. And when you look at the 11 as well, Jihan, 10 of the 11 played in the last final against India. The only one who didn't was Bo Webster, obviously. So it just shows that Australia wanted that experience in their team for this final.
So Bo Webster for David Warner, was it?
Pretty much. Stark in, and this one flirted by Mulder as he plays and misses this one. It was well outside the off stump. In the end, there's no run. Australia will be hoping to go for another couple of wickets here, back to back. Get South Africa 3 down and reeling. If they can get a first innings lead, that would be good for Australia, and then they can certainly build off that if they can get a lead of some substance. And put the pressure on South Africa. Look to make them earn every run as Stark is in again to Mulder. This one edged and taken. No. Was it dropped by Carey or was it a play and a miss? We have to look on the replay. I think he missed it. Judging by the reaction. Let's have a look on the replay here. Did he get an edge to it? Oh, he did. And that's a drop catch from Alex Carey. That's uncharacteristic of Carey. And that's a chance gone begging. We've seen South Africa caught well today. They didn't drop a catch. And Carey, you don't expect that from him. That was an outside edge. And Mulder gets a life, but not convincing, Jihan.
Can't afford to drop catches.
And this one left alone by Mulder outside his off stump. No run. Sorry, Jihan, you were saying?
You can't afford to drop catches in this situation. You need to take away chances, and that was a pretty straightforward one. I would have thought.
I think we can cut Alex Carey some slack. Obviously, Jihan, he doesn't tend to drop catches every now and doesn't drop catches ever, really. It's so uncharacteristic of him. But look, he's a good keeper nonetheless, and you put that in the back of his mind and catch the next one. You don't mean to drop a catch; it just happens. Stark in this one, full defended back by Mulder to Stark, and there's no run. Mitchell Stark finishes his over. It's the end of the over, 1 for 8. South Africa trailed by 204.
It's almost like he wasn't anticipating that, like he was surprised that it got the edge.
No, and also the slope as well.
Yeah.
Moving towards, I think that was down the slope, from the nursery end. So that can often put you a little bit off as a keeper. But we saw Kyle Vererne, the keeper from South Africa, to take a pretty good catch off Travis Head down the leg side, one-handed.
Yeah.
But with Alex Carey, so uncharacteristic of him to drop a catch. But anyway, it happens to the best of us. Just got to put that behind you and focus on the next one. But nonetheless, for Mitchell Stark, he'll take that as a win. And Hazelwood is in, and this one defended to Nathan Lyon at point. There's no run. Gregor Galway, thanks for your comment. I can't bring it up on the screen for some reason. We have some technical difficulties in regards to that. But your comment says it's the 561st Test match played in England. And it is the first time the number one batter for both sides has gone for a duck. Not a stat they would be happy with the batters. No, they would be. They won't be happy about that. Usman Khawaja and Aidan Markram going for ducks today. Hazelwood is in. This one past the outside edge of Rickleton, and there's no run. That's an interesting stat, Jihan. You always have many stats in the game of cricket, but that's certainly an interesting one.
The first time? Surely that's...
Yes, apparently.
Oh.
Well, Australia would be disappointed with the drop catch from Carey, but they're bowling well here. Hazelwood is in. This one again past the outside edge of Rickleton, and there's no run. Hazelwood probing on that off-stump line. So it's slow going for South Africa, Jihan, but it's not all means by easy, isn't it? It's...
Yeah, Australia haven't bowled a lot of rubbish, actually. They've kept it quite tight.
Yes, and obviously for Alex Carey, it's been a tough session for him. He got out sweeping, and now he's dropped a catch. But look, it happens to the best of us. You just got to park it and focus on the next one. And he talks so well about that, Carey, in his interview he did with Mark Howard on the Howard Games I listened to. This one left by Rickleton outside his off-stump, no run. Talking about his keeping and working hard on his keeping. But he's ever... he's had a brilliant couple of years, it has to be said. Obviously, some days you have good days, some days you have bad days, and that's just the way it goes. It was a regulation catch. Maybe he was caught unawares. Maybe he wasn't expecting it. Maybe he got a little bit put off, by the slope as he was moving towards his right. Hazelwood in. And this one worked off the pads by Rickleton, down the fine leg. Won't get to the boundary. Mitchell Stark will cut it off for 2. And South Africa move on to 10 for 1.
So it looks like there may be some cloud cover tomorrow for most of tomorrow as well. Looking at the forecast here. So hopefully that helps their bowlers a little bit.
Yes. It certainly will. Australia will be hoping for another wicket here. Hazelwood to Rickleton. Drives down the ground past mid-off for 4. And that's his second boundary, Rickleton. He's played that shot before off Mitchell Stark, and now to Josh Hazelwood. He picks up a boundary to end the over. It's the end of the over, 1 for 14. And South Africa, after 6 overs, are crawling along. It hasn't been a frenetic start. Australia have bowled well. The deficit under 200 is now 198. But there's still a lot of runs. Even though Australia were bowled out for 212, South Africa lose another couple of wickets here. It's a game on still. And Australia are bowling pretty well, Jihan. They haven't really leaked too many runs except for those 2 boundaries. But all in all, apart from those 2 boundaries, it's been pretty disciplined bowling.
Yeah, the 2 boundary balls weren't bad balls either.
No, they weren't bad balls. You just have to say pretty good shot selections from Rickleton on those occasions. Mitchell Starc. Can he get a wicket again? He will be disappointed with the drop catch, but it's so uncharacteristic of Alex Carey. Starc to Mulder, who plays at this delivery, but it was well wide of the off stump, and there's no run. So 1 for 14 for South Africa, 198 behind. Australia definitely up against it. But from a legacy point of view, Jihan, I know people have been talking about that. Really, Australia have already won the World Test Championship. It would be nice for them to win back-to-back titles. It wouldn't be sort of a legacy-defining moment because they've already done that 2 years ago. Starc is into Mulder, this one full and defended for no run. But it would be nice to win 2 in a row. But then obviously you got the Ashes at the end of the year. But we know with Australia, they are a very good team. They've been well experienced. Haven't been quite at their best today. Look, that happens. You can have off days. And I think today is Australia's off day, and they'll be hoping for better days to come, which happens to the best of us. But they can really cap off the day with a couple of wickets here, get a South Africa 3-4 down, get into that middle order. Starc is in again to Mulder, who defends. Leaves this outside off stump. There's no run.
Yeah, I mean, it's the small things that happen during the day's play that can make a huge difference. Like if Travis Head doesn't get strangled down the leg side, if Steve Smith doesn't, play the shot he does against Markram, then it could have been a completely different story. But yeah, just one of those days where those kind of things just kept happening.
Yeah, I suppose it's just the nature of cricket, really, up and down sort of nature, and you have these moments. Starc is into Mulder. This one a bouncer. Ducked under by Mulder and lets it go to the keeper, no run. So good to see Mitchell Starc testing Mulder with the bouncer. Keep him honest. Let him know that a short ball is coming or 2 in the over. It's been good bowling from Australia. Starc got the first bit of Markram. Clean, bowled for a duck. He chopped on. Drop catch from Carey off Mulder. And that was to Starc as Mulder defends to point and there's no run. But apart from that, it's been disciplined bowling from Australia, and South Africa being watchful. They know that this is a tricky period towards the end of the day. They've done all the hard work. And then if they lose a few wickets in a hurry, it sort of puts that hard work to waste, doesn't it, Jihan? We usually see that in this situation, do we? Where wickets fall late in the day.
Well, I mean, I don't think they're going to care about how many runs they've gotten by the end of the day. They'll just want to go into the close of play having only lost 1 wicket.
Start
1 or 2.
Mulder and finish the over. It's left alone outside of stump by Mulder. It's the end of the over, 1 for 14. It's a maiden. And South Africa still trailed by 198 after Australia were bowled out for 212.
Do you think if Labuschagne fails again in the second innings, do you think it's time for him to be dropped?
That's the thing, really. Well, yeah, that's many people would say conventional wisdom and thinking would say yes.
He looked
But
very tentative today.
he did a little bit. I thought he, moved okay at times, but then other times he was a little bit undecisive and not really sure about, whether or not he should play or not, or leave. I suppose, Kevin Peterson sort of mentioned it on the coverage. I was listening and he said mainly it's a mindset thing, really, with Marnus, looking to score. Yeah. If you look to score, you're a lot more positive. So I think he's in that mindset at the moment, Marnus. Pat Cummins is into the attack. The captain has said, I'm in the attack and I'm going to have a bowl. And this one is worked by Rickleton. And he moves on to 12. South Africa, 1 for 15.
Well, that was the difference between Marnus and Smith today. Smith just looked like
we know Steve Smith is going to be aggressive anyway. Looking to score.
I mean, he looked like he was looking to score the whole time. His footwork was sharp. His balance was sharp. He left well. Yeah.
This one defended by Mulder. And there's no run. Pat Cummins, he's the man for the job, the Australian captain. He won't be overawed by the occasion. He tends to come in and bowl spells that change games on its head. He'll be hoping to do one here and get South Africa in a bit of a hole. 1 down for 15. You add 2 wickets onto that, 3 down, even 4. Then South Africa will be very worried and concerned. This one defended comfortably by Mulder for no run. 1 for 15. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. I hope you're enjoying the cricket wherever you are. We'll be here for the next 5 days of this final. As Pat Cummins is in to Mulder, who defends, and it trickles out to square leg, and there's no run. It sort of had that feel about it, Jihan. I know it's a different pitch and different conditions, but it sort of took me back to the final against India, where Australia batted on that first day with a green pitch. And, they did well to get out of that first session. And obviously Smith and Head came in and did what they did. It sort of had that similar feeling today.
It did, but they didn't get out of the first session this time.
No, that's right. Cummins is in, and this one down the leg side, and Mulder lets it go. Good take from Carey, and there's no run. Good start from Cummins. Very disciplined. And Australia will have to be disciplined. Don't go searching for wickets. I think South Africa were guilty of that in the second session, Jihan, and that's why they leaked the runs with Smith and Webster and Carey. But this test match is not over by any means. It's early days. It's only day 1. You don't win a test match on the first day. Pat Cummins is in to Mulder. This one passes outside edge. And it's a good way to end the over from Pat Cummins. It's a maiden. It's the end of the over, 1 for 15. South Africa trail by 197. I suppose, Jihan, cricket doesn't follow a script. We can say certain things, you should bat all day and score these amount of runs, but it never happens, doesn't it? That's the beauty of cricket, isn't it? Especially Test cricket.
Yeah.
And that's the case today.
I mean, the best bit of advice you can give your team is to score more runs than the opposition.
Pretty much. That's how cricket works, really. Score more runs than the opposition. Or bowl them out for less.
My coach at school used to give us a pep talk before we went out to bat, and he'd say, "Now I want you to put pressure back on the bowlers. You can't just let them bowl. You have to attack the bowling. But I also don't want you to get out."
Yes, that's true. Stark is into Rickleton. He works it through point. 2 fielders in pursuit for Australia, but they won't win. Nathan Lyon picks up the ball after it's hit the boundary. So it's another boundary for Rickleton. That's his third. He moves on to 16 off 20. 1 for 19 for South Africa. Mitchell Stark looking for his second wicket. He would have got his second wicket. Uncharacteristic drop catch from Alex Carey. Has given Mulder a life, but Stark to Rickleton, who flashes at this one. Playing a miss. Stark looks pretty...
That's probably the first bad ball that he's bowled. Just a little bit of width there. The boundary, I mean. The early boundary.
The follow-up delivery was not bad. Once Rickleton driving, get that outside edge, and he nearly got it on that occasion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm a bit behind on the stream for some reason.
That's all right. Behind. I guess different streams, I suppose. Different loading times, I suppose. Stark to Rickleton. And again, left alone outside the stump. There's no run. It's pretty good bowling here from Stark after the boundary. 2 balls in the right area. South Africa 1 for 19. Australia were 1 for 12 when they lost their first wicket. South Africa 1 for 19. So similar on the comparison. It's going to be a long session with the overs. The over rate has been slow today, mainly because of seam and wickets, and Stark is in. Flashing again, edged and caught at first slip. That's Mitchell Stark, second wicket. Khawaja takes the catch, and Rickleton, it was only a matter of time, Jihan, before he edged one. 2 plays and misses, and Stark was on the money and got the outside edge. South Africa, 2 for 19. Your thoughts on that, Jihan?
It's just coming up for me now.
Still behind on the screen there.
Yeah. That's well bowled, but that's a poor shot. I don't think he had to play at that.
No. There's still some life in Australia.
Still a little bit of shape there.
You don't discount them from anything. And Rickleton, he'll be disappointed with that shot. As Jihan said, shouldn't have played at it, but it was not a bad delivery from Stark. But Rickleton, unfortunately, has to go, and both openers back in the hutch for South Africa.
There was a good catch as well. That was kind of getting away from him a little bit.
Yes. Now, this is the thing, Jihan, and obviously Australia will be hoping another wicket here. We can get into the middle order, which is quite inexperienced, as the South African captain, Temba Bavuma, comes out to 3. He's had a reasonable career. He's played for a long time. Average of just tick under 38 for him. But very good catch from Usman Khawaja. That's how you do it, Jihan. He didn't drop that. He's a pretty good fielder in the slips there, Usman Khawaja. Good set of hands. Alex Carey will be breathing a sigh of relief, even though it wasn't Mulder who he dropped, but at least Australia got a wicket, but it didn't cost him many runs from that drop catch. So that's always a nice feeling when that happens. When you drop a catch and just hope that the second wicket or the other wicket will come, and that's what's happened here for Stark. And Carey will be breathing a sigh of relief, and Australia as well. They've got their tails up, Jihan, and you can sense Australia can get on a bit of a run here.
For sure.
Bavuma. He's had a good day as captain, but, well, he's going to be tested right here, right now. Especially to Mitchell Stark. Stark to Bavuma. This one played comfortably with a straight bat by Bavuma as he defends back down the wicket, and there's no run. Yeah, just having a look at the Rickleton dismissal. Yeah, just playing away from his body.
Mm.
Probably should have left that, but it's easier said than done when you only have to react to point of a second. And especially when Mitchell starts bowling at nearly 140 plus.
There's about half an hour left now, isn't there, till the end of the day's play?
It's just about 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
At Lord's at the moment in London. So half an hour, you would think, with of playing time to go. This one left alone outside off stump by Bavuma. And that's the end of the very successful over from Mitchell Starc. It's the end of the over, 2 for 19. And South Africa trail by 193.
I think they'd love one more before the close of play, preferably 2 more.
I think they would like 2 more, Jihan. 4 for 19 sounds better than 3 for 19. But regardless, it's still a wicket. And you can take them. And South Africa, if Australia get a wicket here, they're into Stubbs and Bellingham, who haven't played a lot of Test cricket. Yes, they have scored some runs, but they haven't played a lot of Test cricket against Australia, and that's going to be the challenge for them when they come out to bat. So we've got roughly 21 overs remaining, give or take, with the over rates, obviously. That could be a lot less. So Cummins to Mulder, and he pulls out. Pat Cummins, a bird went across the pitch, a pigeon. Where's Bill Laurie when you need him? Jihan to tell us what pigeons are out there on the field. But some birds were distracting Mulder, so he pulled out and he said wasn't quite ready. And that's fair enough. He's on 1, and he's 1 off 23, so it hasn't been easy for him. Not going to get easy to Pat Cummins. He's in now. This one beats him past his outside edge. And Pat Cummins oohs and ahs. And... But Jihan, going back to Mitchell Starc, how often do we see Mitchell Starc pick up the first couple of wickets of an innings? Now, he does it so often. And he does it again here, where it counts the most in this World Test Championship final. Give Australia some momentum. It hasn't been a great day, but it can turn into a great day here. Cummins is in. This one again beats Mulder. Past his outside edge. He's probing Pat Cummins. And all of a sudden, Jihan, you can just sense the momentum just changing a little bit here. South Africa, a little bit tense. It's certainly tense at the moment, you know. This is what Test cricket's about. And this was always going to be the challenge for South Africa, is their batting and how it will come against the Australian bowling. And we're starting to see that already. Cummins is in to Mulder. He plays and misses this. It goes down the leg side. Good take from Carey. Don't think it collected any bat or pad. Just went on with the angle. And there's no run. 2 for 19. South Africa trailed by 193 after Australia were bowled out for 212. Mitchell Starc has got the first 2 wickets. Markram for a duck. Chopped on. And then Rickleton caught behind at first slip by Khawaja off the bowling of Starc for 16. Older. 1 off 26. Bavuma the captain. None off 2. Cummins is in. And this one defended to the covers by Mulder. And there's no run. Keep the comments coming in, everyone. If you're wanting to offer your thoughts on the test match thus far, me and Jihan will try and answer your queries or questions. But I can't bring them up on the screen, as I mentioned a few times before. We're having some problems with that, but we will read them out if you do have a comment. We do appreciate your thoughts, and I'd love to hear what you have to say on the game of cricket, but also this World Test Championship final. Cummins is in, again beats Mulder outside his outside edge, and again there's no run. Pat Cummins, can he do the job for Australia? Can he lead Australia to another World Test Championship title to add to his list of glowing achievements. He certainly will go down as one of our fine Test captains, that's for sure. Last ball the over for Cummins to Mulder over the wicket. And this one down the leg side, and good take from Carey. There's no run. It's the end of the over. 2 for 19. And it's amazing.
The commentators are complaining that...
Sorry?
The commentators are complaining that South Africa aren't scoring enough runs.
Well, what do you want them to do in this situation? It's either balance. It's a fine balancing act. Let me guess, was it KP again or Matthew Hayden saying this?
No, it was Graham Smith and Ian Smith.
Oh, you expect that from Graham Smith, of course. Former South African captain. He wants his team to do well.
Yeah, so Ian Smith said, the problem is at the moment, South Africa are just going nowhere with the run scoring. They've just lost a wicket.
It has stagnated. It has to be said. It's a real challenge from the South African batters right here, right now. This one left alone by Bavuma outside his off stump. There's no run. But you can just sense, Jihan, that the scoring is tied up. The pressure's starting to be built. And Pat Cummins finding his radar, as we saw in that last over from Mulder. And also Mitchell Starc just starting to get it right as well. This was always going to be the challenge for South Africa, and we're starting to see that challenge at the moment. And they lose another couple of wickets here before stumps tonight. If Australia can get them four down, preferably, and Australia will end the day pretty well. Starc to Bavuma, who leaves this delivery that was angled across him, and there's no run. Two for 9, Mitchell Starc. It's been economical. It's been good. It's got the 2 wickets of Markram and Rickleton.
Should have been 3.
Should have been 3 with the uncharacteristic drop catch of Carey off Mulder. But nonetheless, he's picked up the 2 wickets, and that's the important thing at the end of the day. And this time, the catch was held by Usman Khawaja. Starc to Bavuma again. He works it off his hip, but he can't get it past forward square leg.
Just listening to the commentary when the most neutral commentators appear to be Ravi Shastri and Stuart Broad, I think there's a bit of an issue there.
Well, yes. Well, I don't know what they did there in terms of getting the commentators for this final.
Yeah. All anti-Australian.
New Zealander and an Englishman. Yeah.
English. There's one New Zealander. There's a few South Africans. Yeah. KP's South African.
Yeah. Starc in. This one traps Bavuma on the pads. An appeal from Starc. Puts the counter in his pocket. He nods his head and he says, not out. But the question is, was it going down the leg side? It looked pretty good, but it's just whether or not it did too much.
Yeah, I think that did too much. Very full, but I think that did too much.
Probably did too much. We're not going to burn a review. But good from Starc there. Targeting the pads of Bavuma. Let's have a look on the replay. Yeah. That probably pitched outside leg and going on to probably miss a leg stump. So did too much there.
It's definitely getting the ball to swing, isn't he?
Yes. The ball's still moving around a bit. In the air. Not so much off the pitch, a little bit off the pitch, but there is movement in the air. So Starc definitely in business. And you'll be hoping for another one here, Mitchell Starc. He's in now to Bavuma. This one passes outside edge, and there's no run. Now it's a real grind for South Africa. Let's have a look at the LBW shout. The Hawkeye, yeah. Oh, it was umpire's call. So it was clipping the leg stump. It pitched in line. The impact was in line, but it was umpire's call. So if that was given out, it would have been definitely a marginal decision.
Yeah.
Clipping the leg stump, but it didn't go Australia's favour. Umpire Richard Inuev, rightly so. On the first impressions of that, you wouldn't begrudge the umpire for not giving that one out. Stark is in.
As a batsman, I'd feel very unlucky to be given out for that.
Yes, you would. Defended by Bavuma to the offside, and there's no run. It's a maiden from Stark. Good over again. It's 2 for 19. The pressure being applied by Australia as South Africa have survived to drinks as umpire Niton Menon, the fourth umpire, comes out with some refreshments for the umpires. And I think the players are going to take a drink as well. And it's been a very interesting first hour of this last session, Jihan. Your thoughts on how Australia's bowled in this first hour in this last session? It's been pretty disciplined, only 3 boundaries, but 2 wickets. Could have been 3, as we've mentioned with Carey's drop catch there of Mulder. But apart from that, you would think Australia would be pretty happy with their work.
Yeah, I think they've bowled well. There's barely been a bad ball. They've kept the pressure up. Mitchell Stark is getting the ball to swing. They're not getting the excessive seam movement that South Africa did this morning, but you have to, use what you're given. But yeah, I think they have bowled really well, and they've kept things tight and kept the pressure on South Africa, not let the scoring rate get away from them as well. So they just need to continue doing this.
Yes, definitely, absolutely. And it's all about building pressure, and the amount of pressure you build can definitely lead to wickets. And we've certainly seen that today with Australia and South Africa bowling well throughout the Australian innings. But with Australia here, they're definitely bowling pretty disciplined lines and lengths. And South Africa, you just feel like that. If Australia can get into that middle order, Jihan, if they can get into Rickleton and not Rickleton, they can get into Stubbs and Benningham, who are to come, and then get Verene out, the keeper, and get into the bowlers. I think Australia would be pretty happy if they can do that. But thus far, the bowling's been pretty good. 2 for 9 for Stark, none for 7 for Hazelwood, none for 1 for Cummins from his 2. And it's been pretty disciplined bowling, good lines and lengths. South Africa haven't really gone anywhere. The scoring stagnated. They haven't rotated the strike often because of the pressure being built by Australia. So I think that's what Australia would have talked about, Jihan, at the innings break. Keep it tight. Bowl your best delivery every ball, good lines and lengths, and that's what they're doing here. And Australia definitely sensing a bit of a moment here. It's all about moments in Test cricket. It's about season and capitalizing the moments. And if they can get South Africa 4 down here, another couple of wickets, it will be a pretty good result to end what has been a very up and down day. Cummins into Mulder, who leaves is outside his off stump. First ball after drinks. And Australia 2 for 19. South Africa 2 for 19. Cut me some slack, everyone. It's early morning here in Australia, and sleep deprived, and you're going to make mistakes. So that's always bound to happen whenever you do an all-nighter. Cummins is in to Mulder, who works it off his pads down to fine leg. And he'll pick up a leg bye. First run scored for South Africa in some time, 2 for 20. They trail by 192, which seems a long way away at the moment with the pressure being applied by Australia. But more importantly, Pat Cummins, captain to captain. He's going to have an opportunity to bowl to Temba Bavuma. Cummins in. This one down the leg side. Bavuma nearly caught up with it, but a good take from Carey to prevent that going to the boundary, and there's no run. And Cameron Green, good to see him back. Coming back from injury. Didn't quite work out for him at number 3 today, Cameron Green, but he's got another opportunity in the second innings to come. Bavuma drives to mid-off, and there's no run. He's yet to get off the mark. 9 deliveries faced, and he's yet to get off the mark. Marnus shining the ball. And a lot of pressure on Marnus, especially going into this test match, as me and Jihan have discussed, with him opening the batting new position only for this test match only, you would think. Slip cordon, keeper, gully, await. Pat Cummins, as he's in now to Bavuma, who leaves comfortably outside off stump. No run, not tempted by playing at that delivery. There has been some talk, Jihan, that the World Test Championship final could be played somewhere else in the next few years, in the next few cycles, I think. I heard something about that.
You mean, when you say somewhere else, do you mean outside of England?
Outside of England, they have been murmurs about that.
Well, how would you decide on where that would be?
That's the question, isn't it? Cummins is in. This one defended by Bavuma. Going to be over 2 for 20. 192 South Africa trail by. Well, I suppose, with new administration at the ICC and everyone looking at the World Test Championship going forward in terms of other things, it's definitely on the cards. It would be something, I suppose, have it at different venues from cycle to cycle. I suppose keep it different, I suppose. But it depends where you want to play it, I suppose. In different parts of the world are not acclimatized to playing cricket this time of year. That's another thing as well. The weather and the different seasons, isn't it?
Well, you couldn't play it in Australia, could you? Unless you had it in Darwin.
Unless you have it in Darwin, and it's football season and it's winter, so probably not. Stark is back. He's in. This one driven by Mulder to mid off, and there's no run. Well, I suppose there's some other countries, maybe the UAE, maybe India. There's been some talk, so it'd be interesting to see what they do in regards to that.
But can you imagine an Australia-South Africa final on a Turner in India? That would be a bit
probably
surreal,
not.
Wouldn't it?
It would be a quick game, I think.
Yeah.
Good to see the crowd in, and it's going to be good for the next few days at Lords with the crowds. I think first 3 days, some good numbers. Stark is in to Mulder. Pass his outside edge again, and there's no run. So Mitchell Stark certainly probing. Did get the outside edge of Mulder, but an uncharacteristic drop catch from Alex Carey gave Mulder a life, but he hasn't really made Australia pay, hasn't he? Excuse me. Hasn't really made them pay, hasn't he? Jihan at the moment, Mulder. He's 1 off 23, so
not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
No, 33 was it?
33. Sorry.
Yeah.
And again, past the outside edge, and again, there's no run. So he's getting bogged down here, Mulder, and something's going to happen. Something's going to break. You just sense that the elastic is about to snap. Either he gets a boundary, Mulder, or Mitchell Stark gets the outside edge or gets a wicket. One or the other.
What if they had it or played the final at the home of the team that came third? from the previous cycle.
Now,
That
that
could
would
work,
be interesting. Yes. Stark is in, and again past the outside edge of Mulder. Well, he's in a bit of a hole here, Mulder. He's 1 off 35. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's just played and missed, and he looks a little bit scratchy. I suppose more importantly for South Africa that he's still out there, but still, you don't want to bog yourself down. Otherwise, that could bring about your downfall. Australia will be hoping for another couple of wickets here just to end the day on a high, get South Africa 4 down for 20, then there'll be cock a hoop. Stark is hoping to do that.
A run out would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yes, that would be nice. Stark is in, and this one, quick single to the offside for Mulder. He finally gets off the one, and a round of applause from the crowd because they know it too. He moves on to 2 off 36. He's having a bit of a laugh about it. Sort of reminds me of that time with Rahul Dravid in that test match in Sydney, Jihan, where it took a very long time to get off the mark and they gave him a round of applause.
Yeah.
Same with Mulder there. Interesting stat here, Jihan. Is that Stark is about to go past Makaya Mentini. Very fine bowler for South Africa, Mentini. He's about 7 wickets away from beating his tally.
Okay.
That's an interesting stat there. Stark is in to Bavuma, who drives to Minoff, and there's no run. It's the end of the over. 2 for 21. South Africa trail by 191. Well, I think that was the first run off the bat for a while, Jihan, because we had a leg bye previously. So South Africa's run rate is a miserly 1.61. The last 10 overs, the run rate's been 1.40.
Well, can you imagine if they bowled like this, if they won the toss and bowled this morning?
Yes. Well, if Australia did bowl,
be in a lot of trouble.
Yes, they would have been. Cummins in, and this one left alone by Mulder outside his off stump. There's no run. So we've got around about 16 overs left in the day. If time permits, we may get them all in. We may not. It's usually the case with the over rates these days. We probably will, probably won't. South Africa hoping not to lose any more wickets, but Australia hoping to pick up another couple, maybe another one. And they've certainly done well, Australia. This was to be expected, the discipline. And they've certainly shown that here. Cummins in. Edged and just falling short of Smith. Not quite carrying. But he's probing Pat Cummins, and Steve Smith just signalling, just bounced. Have a look on the replay here. Yep, off the outside edge, but just not carrying to Smith. Just falling short. But I suppose that's the thing, isn't it, Jihan? When you're not looking to score as a batter, you can get worked over by a bowler. And we've certainly seen that with Cummins here with Mulder. He's certainly hitting those areas. Cummins in. This one races off the outside edge of Mulder's bat down to third man. He'll pick up a couple of runs. Green throws it back in. And all of a sudden, Mulder has found some opportunities to score. He moves on to 4. But still slow going for South Africa. Not as easy as everyone would have anticipated, Jihan. And Australia, not a surprise to see them bowling this way. We always expected that to be the case. But what we do have, Jihan, is a very exciting test match in prospect. Mulder to Cummins, and he leaves outside off stump. And there's no run.
Do you find that, I'm just looking at these guys batting, that a lot of these South African right-handers, their techniques all seem to be very similar.
Yes, they do.
Mulder, Markram, Bavuma, So sort of like bat up in the air, quite a square on stance, square on sort of way of playing.
Yes, it is very similar. When you mention that, they do have similar techniques. South Africa's batters.
Maybe that's how they bring them up in South Africa.
Yes. Worked off the pads, but he can't get it through square leg. Mulder, and it's a dot ball. One ball left of the 14th over. Marnus Labuschagne doing the fielding out there. Tough times for Marnus. New role as opener, as we've mentioned, and he's in a bit of a quandary in his career at the moment. I suppose he's in that period. I suppose as all batters go through. Cummins is in. This one left outside off stump by Mulder, and that's the end of the over. 2 for 23. South Africa trail by 180-89. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, of course, our YouTube channel, and if you want to access some perks and join us on the live stream as Jihan has, become a Patreon member, and you can do that. All you need to do is go to the link in the description of this live stream, and it's really easy to sign up, and you can join me on a live stream or an episode of the podcast, and Jihan's certainly done that many times, and we had some fun discussing many things on the game of cricket. So once again, thanks everyone for joining us, and it's been a while since we've done a live stream. It's around about this time last year. The last time we did a live stream was during the T20 World Cup in the USA and the West Indies. Josh Hazlewood is back, replacing Stark. This one left alone outside off stump by Bavuma. And he's yet to get off the mark. He's none from 14. I suppose South Africa looking towards stumps. They're not really looking to take any risk, but that can also bring a wicket opportunity as well, not looking to score, and Australia really tightening the screws on here, Jihan. Do you think that's the game plan from South Africa, and Australia looking to pick up a wicket or two here before the close?
Yes, I think Australia would want at least one more before close. If they can try and get two. I think for South Africa, they just need to try not to lose a wicket. I don't think the scoring rate is going to be too important here in the last 20 minutes to half an hour.
Yes, and that one defended by Bavuma.
Because they can always pick up the scoring rate when they come back tomorrow. Once the ball's a bit softer.
Yes, they can. But it's not smooth sailing at the moment. Hazlewood in. This one left alone by Bavuma. And again, there's no run. So good start from Hazlewood as expected. Coming into the attack and doing well there. Left that on length. It was going to go over the top of the stumps. So good leave, good judgment from Temba. He's had a good day as captain, Temba Bavuma, but he knows deep down inside that this test match is not won yet. There's still a lot of cricket to be played over the next 4 days. Hazlewood in again. And Bavuma defends to backward point, and there's no run. Nathan Lyon does the fielding. I don't think we may see Nathan Lyon have a bowl tonight. Maybe towards the end of the day, Jihan. We tend to see that, do we? The spinner have a go towards a break or the end of the day's play. So he'll be chomping at the bit. And he's closing in on Glenn McGrath, obviously. So he will.
Does he?
Pass him shortly, I think. Well.
Oh, he's 10 away, yeah.
He's 10 away. Hazlewood in. Again, left outside the off stump by Bavuma. 2 for 23, South Africa. Steve Smith, just having a look at his innings today. He played some nice shots. 100 was left out there, really. He looked really good to get his 37th 100 it would be. He's on 36 at the moment. Wasn't to be. But we know with Smith, he's a very fine player. And he'll be hoping to get Australia over the line here. Hazelwood is in, defended by Bavuma. It's no run.
He must be gutted that he got out to Markram today after batting like that.
Yes, he would be. He'll be absolutely filthy. You could see it in his face, I think, Jihan, that why did I play that shot? Markram's better than a part-timer. But still, you don't want to be getting out to that sort of bowling. And, yeah, unfortunately. But I suppose that's... Well, the grind, the runs slowing down for South Africa. Australia applying the pressure as Pat Cummins continues to Mulder. He plays it out to deep square leg. Fine leg had to come around to field. Just the single. He moves on to 5. And Beau Webster played well today, Jihan.
He did, yeah.
Top scored in the innings. He looked a little bit shaky against Rabada early on, but once he got in, he looked pretty comfortable.
He looked good, yeah, definitely.
72 he made in the end. Hoping that he was going to go on and score his first 100, and what a moment that would be at Lord's, but it wasn't to be. Cummins is in to Mulder. He's bowled him, knocked him over! Clean bowled him! That's the 3rd wicket for Australia, and Pat Cummins, the captain, has striked. And South Africa, the pressure built up. And Mulder, it was only a matter of time. He wasn't going anywhere. And he bites the dust. And Australia are fighting back in this test match, Jihan.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he dug himself into a bit of a hole there. I didn't think the ball was that special. It just seemed to be a bit of a straight ball. Did it nip back in?
I think maybe a little bit, but I don't think it moved all that much. I think it was just a straight
ball. Yeah. No foot movement. His feet were stuck in cement there, and that's again probably a mindset thing.
Yes, when you're not looking to score, you're getting bogged down. That's always going to happen. You're going to put that pressure on yourself, and that's what's happened here. And Pat Cummins was able to, bowl what he wanted to bowl, really. And that was the end of Mulder's of innings, and that's his downfall. Tristan Stubbs, the young sensation from South Africa, he made some comments that he's committed to Test cricket. And he doesn't want to play T20 franchise all the time. He's committed to the cause. Some people have applauded him for those comments that he made.
They could have sent a night watchman out, couldn't they?
Maybe it's a little bit too early for a night watchman, I think. Maybe if you do that with a handful of overs remaining, probably. But you wouldn't like to expose a basically a tail ender night watchman right now.
How long's left? Probably about half an hour, isn't it?
Probably half an hour left.
Yeah.
Remaining in the day's play. But it's been a good fight back from Australia, Jihan, as we expected. South Africa, 3 for 25, and this was always bound to happen. The pressure. To be honest, Jihan, I think we've had a really good day of Test cricket. It's ebbed and flowed.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed it, actually. Even earlier on in the day when Australia were losing wickets, it was just a good contest between bat and ball. I think the conditions and the cloud cover sort of brought South Africa more into the game at the start of the day. But yeah, that's just what I love about Test cricket, just watching a contest between bat and ball.
Absolutely. And Pat Cummins, how often does he do it? Jihan, he's already picked up his first wicket as he bowls to Stubbs. Indecisive there with the running, but they decided to go for the single. He worked it off his hip there, Stubbs, and he gets off the mark. But have a look at the dismissal of Mulder. Through the gate, bowled him neck and crump. not much of foot movement. He didn't really cover the gap between his front pad and his bat. And Pat Cummins saw that opportunity and he seized on it. Didn't really move off the seam, really. Just a straight one. Captain to captain, Bavuma on strike to Cummins. Edge to Taken! No, it just fell short of Khawaja. For a moment there, Australia thought it carried, but Khawaja just saying it just died. Making the gesture there with his hand. Definitely came off the edge, but just falling short. Maybe hit the back pad of Bavuma as well, took the pace off it, and that's why it was brought to ground. But nonetheless, Pat Cummins is probing, and South Africa in a bit of a battle here. Cummins is in. Bavuma works it off his pads, but he can't get it past square leg. And it's the end of the over. Very successful over for Australia. Got the wicket of Mulder. Pat Cummins. It's 3 for 26. Sorry, Gio?
That was only just short.
Yes,
I wonder if the slips need to come up a little bit.
Well, that's the thing. They did talk about that in the South African bowling innings. Nasser Hussain did a bit of analysis on that, talking about the positioning of the slips and how South Africa got that right, especially from right to left-handers, up the slope, down the slope. It's often that's the thing at Lords, really. It's a thing that you really need to try and work out. But all in all, it's up to your keeper, really, to decide that, where the slip should stand. How far back? Hazelwood, ball in the hand. He steams in, full of vigour, to Stubbs, who leaves outside off stump. And there's no run. It's a battle on here for South Africa. It's tough work. It's a grind. And, well, Jihan, if Australia pick up another wicket here, you would think that they're well back into this test match.
Yeah, I would think so. Would you still say it was South Africa's day, though? If they're, say, 40 for 4 at the end of today?
Yeah, that's the question. Hazelwood in. This one worked off the pads by Stubbs. You work it through backward of square for a single.
I think I would say it's been a pretty even day.
Yeah, I would say that if Australia pick up another wicket here, it would take it back to a level pegging, you would think. But it's been a pretty good day. I think we can say that. It's been a really enthralling day of cricket. And going back to Mulder, Jihan, about the drop catch, it only cost Australia 6 runs. So I think Alex Carey would be breathing a sigh of relief that it didn't cost more. Hazelwood in to Bavuma.
It also allowed Australia to build a lot of pressure, a whole load of pressure on the batting.
Yes. Yes, that's right. Well, I suppose he sort of did that to himself, Mulder. Really dug himself into a hole. He wasn't really going anywhere. It was a matter of time before before Pat Cummins was going to work him over, and that's what happened. So it's a good little period here for Australia. That's the beauty of Test cricket. You can fight back, have momentum shifts. We've seen that throughout this day. It's ebbed and flowed. It's going back and forth. Hazelwood is into Bavuma, who leaves outside of stump, and there's no run. The pressure continues from Hazelwood and Cummins and Stark. He's having a bit of a breather. But South Africa, 3 for 27. Bavuma, the captain, he would have been smiling when Australia were bowled out for 212, Jihan, but I don't think he's smiling all that much now because he's in the pressure cooker. And
he's going to have to play a captain's role, isn't he?
Yes, that's right. Hazelwood to Bavuma, who drives and nearly caught the edge. He played a miss through the keeper, no run. Round of applause from Smith. He's saying, that's where we want to bowl. Just bowl it there, Josh. That's a good length, good line, enticing the drive. That's where you want to bowl. That's a good line. That's a good length. Not too full, not too short, just in that between length. Making Bavuma make that decision to drive, and he only got the outside edge there. Josh Hazelwood hasn't got a wicket, but he's been economical. This one defended comfortably by Bavuma on the front foot to the offside, and there's no run. The end of the over, 3 for 27.
You couldn't imagine this happening to England, could you?
No, I think if they were in the final today, then it would have been a different game, Jihan, with Bazball. But it's England. They don't really care about the World Test Championships, so it doesn't matter. So they don't really care about it. But yes, the India series with England starting at the end of the month, that should be an interesting series. Obviously, Jihan, you're hoping that India would win because that means England under a bit of pressure going into the Ashes.
No, I was hoping England would win so they'd turn up here overconfident and trying to play Bazball.
Oh, right. Yes, that's true. Cummins into Stubbs, who defends to mid-off. There's no run. Well, I got to say, Jihan, it's good to see Test match cricket back. We've obviously had a lot of IPL over the last few months, but it's good to be back into the Test match mode, I suppose.
Definitely, I've missed this, to be honest, and this it's been one of the more enthralling days of Test cricket that I've seen for a while. I mean, that's maybe because we haven't watched any Test cricket for quite a few months, but it's been a really good day, a really good battle actually between both teams, and I'd much rather watch a day like this than say 240 plays 220 in the IPL over the course of 3 hours.
Yes, definitely. So Pat Cummins, good start to his over, 2 dot balls, Stubbs 1 off 6. Bavuma yet to get off the mark. He's faced 25 balls and he's yet to score the cap. Cummins to Stubbs, who leaves outside of stump. There's no run. So South Africa certainly caught in two minds, you have to say, Jihan, looking for the end of play, not taking risks, but also bringing Australia back into it with their bowlers and looking quite vulnerable. And that's why we've seen 3 wickets fall. Well, 2 of the 3 fall to that sort of pressure.
Yeah,
really was in the first over of the innings. So
it can be a fine line as well. I mean, I think Rickleton looked quite positive and seemed like he wanted to score, but he got out chasing a wider one. So
edged and just falling short again.
This
time it's Bo Webster not in the gully. Sorry, Cameron Green's back there at third slip. So Pat Cummins is finding the outside edge of these South African batters, and this time it's Tristan Stubbs and Steve Smith and Bo Webster having a conversation about where should we stand, and the ball falling short.
I think that one fell quite a fair distance short there.
Yes, I think that didn't carry nowhere near Bo Webster, but anyway, we continue. Cummins to Stubbs, who defends on the front foot.
If you're trying to catch that on the full, you're probably going to end up getting hit in the teeth.
Yes, if you're going to go that far up, you probably should wear the helmet. And we often see that, whether or not on a pitch that's not really fast and hasn't got the pace, you see that from time to time. But Australia probing, and this is the beauty of Test cricket. You can fight back and you can have momentum shifts. Cummins to Stubbs. Defends. Front foot again. No run.
When I was flying back from Barbados last year, I saw Tristan Stubbs in the airport.
Oh, did you?
It was must have been the day after the final. So they were obviously all flying back to South Africa. He was buying a sandwich.
Well, he would have been despondent, I suppose, after that
Yeah, definitely.
Final defeat, of course. It's not what you want. They had that game in their hands, South Africa, and unfortunately,
Choked
it
again.
wasn't to be.
There was a South African cricket journalist who came on the Great Cricketer podcast a couple of days ago, and he was trying to say that he didn't think that one was a choke, because they needed chasing 180 or whatever it was. They needed 6 runs and over with 6 wickets in hand in the last 4 overs, and he said it wasn't a choke because Bumrah had 2 of those overs. Like, come on, like, you can't score a run a ball.
No, yeah. Even without Bumrah, it still was a choke, probably. Hazelwood back. He bowls to Bavuma, who defends the point. There's no run.
Well, even if you score 8 runs and over off the other bowlers, then that takes it down to 4 runs and over off Bumrah. So.
When Klaasen and Miller were batting at the time, it was definitely in their grasp. But as soon as Bumrah came on and they lost those wickets, it turned considerably. And
I said when it looked like Klaasen was taking the game away from them. Someone in the crowd asked me, where do you think this is going? I said, South Africa, it's definitely South Africa's game to win, but if there's any team that could screw it up from here, it's South Africa, and that's exactly what they ended up doing.
Yeah, that's always the thing, isn't it? Definitely. And that one past the outside edge of Bavuma's bat there, Josh Hazelwood probing. There's a lot of plays and misses in the South African innings, but that wasn't too far away from the outside edge. Bavuma just squaring up the fraction. He hasn't got a wicket today, Josh Hazelwood, but that's why he's been selected, because of his economical powers. Hazelwood in this one, full driven down the ground by Bavuma, but good fielding from Pat Cummins at mid-on, who comes across, cuts it off, prevents any runs. It's a dot ball. Build the dots and build the pressure. That's what Hazelwood's doing here. 3 for 27. South Africa trail 185. Bavuma, 29 balls. And he's yet to get off the dreaded duck.
Is that a record?
He's in inside edgy, but he plays it out to Travis Head on the leg side. There's no run. Sorry, Jihan, you were going to say something?
Is that approaching a record? How many balls to get off the mark?
I don't know what the record is in Test cricket, but I think it's more than 30 odd, I think. I'm not sure who holds the record. I think it could be Rahul Dravid. I'm not sure. I have to look into that. You would think Rahul Dravid, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
He batted, probably. Hazelwood into Bavuma. This one on the pads. Bavuma works it backward of square. He's looking for 2, and he'll get 2. He's finally off the mark, and there's a round of applause. He's finally off the mark, Bavuma. It's the end of the over. 3 for 29, South Africa. Ticking the runs down little by little. They trail by 183. Yeah, that one off the inside edge, and Josh Hazelwood probably won't be happy about that delivery, a little bit too straight. But nonetheless, South Africa's captain gets off the mark finally. But still, South Africa under a lot of pressure. 3 for 29. There's still a long way to go. Australia searching for that 4th wicket. Excuse me. And, well, Jihan, we mentioned earlier that we may see Nathan Lyon have a bowl, and that's what's going to happen.
Wow.
Not a surprise either. We saw that from South Africa as well when Maharaj came in and Markram gave some wickets. You probably have to say 2 of the wickets they picked up off spin today, South Africa. probably weren't earned. They were probably gifted in terms of Smith's dismissal and Alex Carey. But Nathan Lyon will certainly get a little bit of turn if he can. He bowls to Stubbs, who plays it out to long on. And he's picked up a single, and he moves on to 2. Opportunity, you would think, for South Africa just to get some singles ticking over here with the spinners. You're gonna have the field, bit of in-outfield, some protection back on the boundary for Nathan Lyon. But there's no respite with this Australian attack. There's always someone who's going to come at you. And Nathan Lyon's been around for a lot of years. 553 test wickets to his name. Lyon into Bavuma. It bends and there's no run. 10 away from equaling Glenn McGrath. Nathan Lyon, how long will he go on for? He wants to be back here in England in 2 years' time for the next Ashes. He wants to be in India for the next India series. He can still play on for a bit. Line in. This one defended to short leg by Bavuma for no run. 3 for 30 for South Africa. Not much turn for the spinners today, but there is a little bit. Line in, and Bavuma plays it out to the offside. There's no run. Australia searching for that last wicket, but I think they'll be pretty happy with their work, Jihan. 3 for 30 is a good place to be. Line in, and this one defended comfortably by Bavuma, and there's no run. Webster does the fielding. He's had a pretty good start to his test career, Webster. Nice 70-odd today. Would have liked a bit more, but more importantly, he played his role for the team. Line in, last ball of the over to Bavuma. Is it on the back foot to the mid-wicket fielder? It's the end of the over, 3 for 30. .330, 19 overs, bowled, 182 runs. South Africa trail Australia on first innings, so we're bowled out for 212. Getting close to 6 o'clock local time in London. Got 8 minutes. Maximum overs to be bowled, minimum 10. I don't think we're going to get the 10 and the 8 minutes remaining. But we're probably going to get close. Here's Hazlewood to Stubbs, who leaves this one well wide of off stump comfortably. And there's no run. As we wind down to the end of day one, Jihan, you said, how do you see the day? Is it even? South Africa ahead a little bit. Australia, you could argue that probably Australia, it's probably the last session is probably even. South Africa taking the wickets and Australia taking 3 here. Depends what happens in these last few minutes. Hazlewood in, and he's bowled him. He's knocked him over. He's knocked him over. That's the end of Stubbs. Oh, that's a key wicket for South Africa. For Australia. And Josh Hazlewood, finally, the persistence pays off. And he gets that wicket, Jihan. And you got to say again, South Africa in a bit of trouble at 4 for 30. Your thoughts on that dismissal, Jihan? Or is it coming through on the stream a little bit late? Are you there, Jihan? I think you muted yourself, Jihan. I can't hear you. I think you muted yourself. I think we've lost your audio there, Jihan, if you can hear me.
You hear me now?
Yeah, there we go. Yep, you're loud and clear.
Yeah, no, I think you really did. A bit short of the length, a little bit too short before, but that ball was perfect, and got that sea movement in as well. Not sure if that nipped back down the hill, down the slope.
Well, it probably did, I think. Maybe we'll have to see the replay again.
Yeah.
New batter comes out to the middle. He's David Bedingham. And I talked about it earlier, Jihan. It's about Australia getting into this middle order. And we're starting to see that now with the inexperienced Stubbs and now Bedingham. Australia could pick up another wicket here, really, and South Africa could be 5 for 30, and that's definitely the day on its head, hasn't it?
For sure. And I mentioned the possibility of a night watchman earlier on, and they
haven't called it. Haven't called for a night watchman.
That dismissal had a very Glenn McGrath-esque vibe to it.
Yeah, I think that did go back up the slope. Looking from the angle behind Stubbs there, I think that did go back up the slope from the nursery end. I don't think that went down the slope. Yeah, it went up the slope. Yeah.
Up the slope, yeah.
So that's what you do at Lords. Use the slope to your advantage. Hazelwood to Bedingham, the new batter on strike. Oh, this one trapped in front. There's an appeal for LBW, but it's going down to the boundary for 4. Now, whether or not he got bat on it, it's another question, or leg buys. Pat Cummins talking about a review. He's saying no. And I think that's probably missing.
Oh, that looked very close. Did they go for the
review? Close, but it's 4 leg buys. So no bat. Bonus runs for South Africa. But having a look on the replay again here.
Looked like he played completely across the line there.
He did. Not far away from the leg stump. Be interesting to see on Hawkeye whether or not that was clipping or not. Could be umpire's call. We've seen that a bit today with the LBWs. Hazelwood in. Bedingham defends and there's no run. But it did look close. Here's Hawkeye on the replay here.
Yeah, maybe umpire's call.
Yeah, missing leg by quite a bit. So good decision in the end by umpire Illingworth, who's umpired in all 3 World Test Championship finals, Jihan.
Right. Okay.
I heard that recently. I think he's the only umpire to do that. Just shows how good of an umpire he is. He is the umpire of the year after all.
Is he?
Following last year's awards. Former left-arm spinner for England, of course, played in the 92 World Cup final. Hazelwood in and Bedingham leaves. There's no run. 4 for 34, South Africa. They trail by 176, or 178, sorry. Let me see. 178. My bad.
I think you'd have to say this is Australia's day now, wouldn't you?
You would think so, Jihan. I know people have different opinion to that, but you would think if Australia pick up another wicket here, definitely. Definitely it has swung in their favour. Hazelwood is into Bedingham. Defends. Back to Hazelwood, no run. Good over from Josh Hazelwood. End of the over, 4 for 34, and South Africa trail 78. As we keep harping on, Jihan, but it was always bound to happen, wasn't it, with Australia's bowling, with South Africa's inexperience. This was always bound to happen, and they sort of dug themselves into a hole, really.
Yeah.
That fine balance between attack and defence towards the end of the day, and I think it's made them seize up a bit. We've seen that from Mulder, and we've seen that from Bavuma now, and we saw that from Tristan Stubbs. 2 off 30. Stubbs 2 off 13. Bavuma 2 off 36.
Mulder 6 off 44.
Yes. The only one who was free thrown was Rickleton with his 3 boundaries, and apart from that, his other contemporaries have struggled. It just shows the relentless pressure that this bowling attack possesses, and that's why they're so good. And well, probably ever, really. They're probably our best bowling attack Australia's ever had. Cummins in to Bavuma. Oh, he was squared up, and he was turned inside out like an S, Bavuma. He works it out through backward a point for a single, gets off the mark. Good backing up there by the Australian fielders as the throw came in for the run out. So it looks like Pat Cummins is going to bowl some short stuff here because he's got the field set for it.
I was sort of wondering if they would turn to the short pitch stuff at some point.
To be honest, it's definitely a tactic to go with, but I sort of was put off by that in the last Ashes series, Jihan, when both Australia and England did it here at Lord's, didn't they? Made for uninteresting cricket, but it certainly had an effect.
I think a lot of that was to do with the pitch as well.
Yes, the pitch was pretty.
On a slow wicket, you don't really want to bounce it fast. It's not really.
You don't. Defended by Bellingham to the leg side, and there's no run. So Pat Cummins is looking for another wicket here. So it looks like Carl Verreynne, the wicketkeeper's padded up. He's in his whites. So interesting that they're not going to send a night watchman out, South Africa.
Yeah.
You probably would in this situation. Keep Verreynne for tomorrow. You don't want to expose him a few overs before the close with South Africa 4 down for 35.
They could have sent out Maharaj, maybe. He can block a bit.
He's done it a few times, or Rabada. Now then, this is the last over probably of the day. Yes, it's just ticked over 6 o'clock, so it is definitely the last over of the day. And you'll have to say Australia, well, on top really now in this test match. Cummins is into Bellingham, who leaves outside off stump. There's no run. 3 balls remain of the day. Can Australia pick up a wicket? Can Pat Cummins pick up a wicket? Australia have certainly fought back well, Jihan, it has to be said.
Yeah.
After a disappointing display with the bat, but they fought back well. And they're right back in this test match now. It's back to an even kill, you have to say. Right, so Pat Cummins has got the field set for short pitch bowling. He's got a gully, he's got a leg slip, he's got a short leg. So looking to tuck up Bellingham here with a short ball. He's in, and this one full, and Bellingham plays it out to Nathan Lyon at mid-off. There's no run. 2 balls left in the day.
I think I probably wouldn't say it's been Australia's day, but what I would say is it's on an even kill at the moment. But South Africa are the ones under pressure going into tomorrow. Yes,
yeah, they are. When you're 4 down for 35, still trailing by 170 odd, that's still a long way to go. Cummins is in to Bellingham, who drives down the ground for 4. That's the first boundary for South Africa in some time. I can't remember the last boundary they scored, but it's been a while. But Pat Cummins looking to get the wicket there.
Full toss.
It was a full toss in the end, and Bellingham did well to get bat on that, because if he didn't, well, he would have been in trouble for LBW, but luckily he got the bat down in time. So the last ball of the day. It's been an interesting World Test Championship final on day 1. Cummins is into Bellingham, who works it off his pads for his square leg for another boundary. So a couple of boundaries to end the innings. To end the day for South Africa. They finished the day 4 for 43. They trailed by 169 runs, but you will have to say it's been an enthralling day of Test match cricket, as you would expect in a World Test Championship final. And for Australia, it was disappointing with the batting side of things today, but they fought back really well with the bowling side of things, Jihan. They took those 4 wickets in the last session. South Africa will be disappointed. Not ideal to lose 4 wickets late on day 1 after bowling so well. So coming back tomorrow, they're definitely under a little bit of pressure. 4 down for 40. So definitely the ascendancy with Australia in terms of this little period of play. They've certainly wrestled momentum back. So just a bit of a recap of what's happened for everyone that's joined us in terms of what's happened in this game. We'll have a bit of a recap and talk about what happened today. Australia bowled out for 212. and that was in 56.4 overs. They lost 4 early wickets in the first session. They were 4 down for 67 at one stage. Khawaja gone for a duck. He was caught. Bellingham bowled Rabada. And then Labuschagne as the new opener fell. He was gone for 17. Caught Varane, bowled Janssen. Then Green caught Markram, bowled Rabada for 4. Steve Smith played a good knock. He top scored with 66, but he fell to Janssen off the bowling of Markram. And then Travis Head didn't spend a lot of time in the middle. He was caught down the leg side. He was caught by Varane, bowled Janssen for 11. Bo Webster batted well. He top scored with 72. Caught Bellingham, bowled Rabada. Carey, after the tea break, was the first wicket to fall, bowled by Maharaj from 23 around his legs. And then Cummins was bowled by Rabada for 1, and then Stark bowled by Rabada for 1. Nathan Lyon was bowled by Janssen for a duck, and Hazelwood was not out on naught. And the Smith and Webster partnership for the 5th wicket was the highest partnership for Australia. The best of the bowling was Rabada for South Africa, 551. Janssen, 3 for 49. A wicket each for Maharaj and Markram. No wickets for Ngidi, he was disappointing. And Mulder, no wickets for him. And South Africa in reply, 4 down, 43 in 22 overs. They lost Markram first over. He chopped on to Mitchell Stark for a duck. Then Rickleton fell, caught Khawaja, bowled Stark for 16. Mulder was bowled by Cummins for 6. And then the last wicket to fall was Josh Hazelwood getting the wicket of Stubbs, clean bowled for 2. And South Africa 4 down for 43 at the end of the day's play, with this test match swinging yet again, Jihan. They trail by 169 runs. Your thoughts on pretty much the last session, Jihan, and your thoughts about the day as a whole. So just some of your thoughts on this last session, Jihan, and your overall thoughts on the day as well. And then we'll talk about a little bit of day 2 to finish off the stream.
So the last session, great fight back from Australia. 212 was definitely under par, I think, on that pitch. But they bowled exceptionally well. Didn't give South Africa too many boundary balls, and they just hit a consistent line and length. South Africa, on the other hand, I think dug themselves into a bit of a hole, got really quite bogged down, and then just that ended up building up a lot of pressure on themselves, leading to the fall of those wickets. So so Australia definitely back in it. I think the overall day as a whole, I thought it was a really good, enthralling day of Test cricket, and I really enjoyed it. Definitely, I think South Africa had the advantage of the conditions in winning the toss and being able to bowl first. The conditions were tough to bat in, particularly that first session. But then whenever Australia seemed to be starting to get on top of the bowling, they gave away a few wickets, and there was a few unforced errors in their batting today, which was frustrating because it was just as they were starting to get on top of the bowling and the batting conditions were starting to ease. But having said that, they're definitely back in the game, and I think the contest is on an even keel at the moment. Going into day 2, Australia just need to keep doing what they did in this last session, and I think they need to make sure that they try not to let the tail get too many runs as well. That's going to be quite vital for South Africa. On the last tour over here, Carl Verena and Marco Jansen scored a lot of runs down the order after South Africa's top order failed. So that's also something that Australia's bowling attack need to be aware of.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's pretty much you hit the nail on the head there, Jihan. What I will say myself is I agree with your sentiments there, Jihan, about the day. It's been an enthralling day of Test cricket. It's gone back and forth. Momentum swings, ebbs and flows, but I think Australia will be probably the better of the two sides going back into the dressing rooms tonight. South Africa probably, just lost momentum, really. They did so well to bowl Australia out for 212, and then to lose all that momentum in their batting and to be 4 down for 43, still trailing by 178 runs, is still quite a big deficit, really. If they lose another couple of wickets tomorrow morning, then it could be really difficult for them. So that's definitely what they will be thinking about tonight, no doubt. Probably Australia, from my point of view, Jihan, probably a bit rusty. Haven't played Test cricket for a while. Different personnel coming back, Green and Labuschagne opening, and Green at 3. Probably the expectations and the hype and the pressure, maybe a bit of nerves. Didn't have their best day, Australia, but they certainly did well to finish off the day well in terms of picking up these 4 late wickets to really cap off what was a disappointing day, but to finish off strongly will definitely deliver them with some confidence. And they're definitely right back in this Test match. And South Africa got a lot of work to do. And this was always going to be the case with South Africa's batting up against Australia's bowlers. We certainly saw that in this last session. The pressure, not going anywhere, digging a hole for themselves. And you can't do that against Cummins, Stark, and Hazelwood. We didn't see much of Nathan Lyon. He only bowled 1 over, but even with Nathan Lyon as well, you've got to find a way to score, because what we've come to accustom with this attack, Jihan, that Australia has, is the ability to be relentless and make it hard for scoring. And we've certainly seen that today. Not too many boundary balls. There were a few boundary balls, but they don't give you a bad ball. They always bowl on the spot and on the money. We saw that from Stark up front, then Hazelwood, then Cummins. So definitely Australia will be pleased with their result at the end of this last session today. They'll definitely be pleased. And South Africa will be pleased about how they bowled and dismissing Australia out for 212, but they'll be disappointed about how they finished the day, really. And they really had an opportunity to probably seal the game when Australia were 4 for 67. And all of a sudden, they let Australia back in a little bit. So it's, an enthralling Test match, but we shall see what happens over the next few days as well. We have a comment here from Gaurav Kumar. Thanks for your comment, Gaurav. He says, I hope the match doesn't finish in 3 days. Well, it might finish in 3 days. The way that Test matches are played at this rapid rate in this modern era, that's probably the case, potentially. With the
I
way
don't think it
at it today.
I don't think it will. I think the Lord's wicket does tend to flatten out on days 2, 3, and 4. So there probably still will be a little bit in it for the bowlers tomorrow, but I reckon by the time the 3rd innings comes around, batting will probably get easier. Yeah,
definitely. It does tend to do that at Lords. It does tend to flatten out as the game progresses. But you never know. The England weather could be unpredictable and could be rain and whatever and all that stuff.
It's not going to be like the Brisbane and the MCG Test matches between these two sides 3 years ago.
No,
I doubt that's going to happen.
Well, I think that Test match that Australia and South Africa played in Brisbane that ended 2 days was an overcooked sort of wicket at the Gabba, but this one is not overcooked. It's probably undercooked, really, given the way
it looks quite dry, doesn't it?
Yes, it does look quite dry, and maybe turn and spin may come into the game late. Lyon and Maharaj will be hoping for that. Yeah. But it does seem dry underneath and quite hard as well and slow. But as the sun bakes it, hopefully it will quicken up and that pace will be in the surface and batting will become a little bit easier. But
I think that's
certainly, yes, definitely a challenge for both teams nonetheless. So there we go. What a first day of this final. of this World Test Championship final for 2025 between Australia and South Africa at Lord's. Thanks everyone for joining us on the live stream. And a reminder that we'll be live streaming throughout the 5 days. So we've still got 4 more days of this test match. So do join us and make sure you subscribe and like and share and subscribe to the Dibbly-Dobbly podcast YouTube channel. Also, if you want to access some perks in terms of other stuff with the podcast, consider becoming a Patreon member. Jihan, who's joining me tonight, is a Patreon member. So you have exclusive perks like joining me on a live stream or an episode. Consider becoming a patron and supporting the podcast if you want to do that. If you don't, that's fair enough. But your loyalty, subscribing to the YouTube channel and all that stuff and support is much appreciated nonetheless. So if you want to become a Patreon member, do access the link in the description of this live stream to do that. So a very interesting day. Hopefully day 2 will be exciting as it has been on day 1. And thank you everyone for watching and listening to today's live stream. And for Jihan for joining me today to keep me company. And it was great to hear your thoughts on this World Test Championship final, Jihan, on day 1. But also, quickly before we forget, do watch the preview episode that me and Jihan did on the World Test Championship final, where we talked about Australia and South Africa's chances. So if you haven't watched that yet, please have a watch and listen. And that's available on our YouTube channel, but it's also available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. So once again, thank you, Jihan, for joining me today for today's live stream of day 1. And thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Please do join us for our next live stream in this World Test Championship final. Until then, keep safe and bye for now.